Is the time, and California is now the first state in the nation to require the state define what counts as an ultra-processed food. The Real Food Healthy Kids Act was signed into law by Governor Newsom this week, and under the law, ultra-processed foods are defined as foods that have additives like dyes, thickening agents, artificial sweeteners, and also high amounts of saturated fats. The law mandates those foods be eliminated from school lunches in the coming years. And joining us live in the studio to talk about all this is Bernadette Del Chiaro. She's a senior vice president with Environmental Working Group, one of the nonprofits that supported this law. What kinds of ingredients are we talking about, and what kinds of food items in school lunches contain them?
Yeah, we always say there shouldn't be more chemicals on the lunch tray than are in the chemistry lab at school. These are chemicals, thousands and thousands of chemicals that have been pre-approved by the federal government to go in our food without being tested or made sure that they're safe. So these are things none of us could even pronounce. Those words you sometimes see on a label that you just skip over because there are too many syllables and letters in there. These are things that add color, add flavor enhancements, things that literally are designed to mess with our brains to make us want to eat more. And when they're combined with high levels of fat, sugar, or salt, they are literally so irresistible that we overconsume them. And that's the whole idea.
So the law will contain a list of these ingredients that are now going to be included as part of the official definition of an ultra-processed food, with the goal of getting rid of them in school lunches altogether.
That's right. American children eat 60% of their calories are coming from ultra-processed foods today, and it's leading to a crisis in health outcomes like diabetes and cancer and other problems. And so what the law does is it codifies for the first time a definition of what is an ultra-processed food. And it's a combination of high in fat, sugar, and salt, plus these chemicals. And you can go into the law and you can see the databases it references. It's literally thousands and thousands of chemicals
and the specific names of those chemicals. You'll probably see them in the ingredient list on a lot of packaged foods.
Or sometimes they just say flavor enhancements, and they hide the ball. So we're going to kind of get behind the curtain and have scientists inform our state regulators to define which are the worst of these chemicals and which ones should we phase out of school lunches.
What's the timeline for implementing this?
So the state government sits down and works with scientists by 2028 to define which are the ultra-processed foods of greatest concern that we need to phase out of school lunches. And then starting the following year, schools have to start reporting to the public and to the legislature what kinds of ultra-processed foods they are serving. And we think that's going to have a very self-reinforcing effect of getting the ultra-processed foods out. And then by 2032 is when the vendors it's an absolute deadline, they have to phase it out.
So about 8 years from now, absolutely none of these ultra-processed ingredients in any of school lunches. What kind of influence could this California law have on school lunches across the country?
Well, California serves over 1 billion meals through our public school system every year. This is a huge, huge source of size of the market. And these are all vendors, national vendors, that provide food for our kids' schools. So we know that when California moves and makes a commitment to healthy like this, it's going to influence the national market for school food vendors. And we think it'll bring safer food and healthier food to Idaho and Colorado and everybody to the east of us. But especially important that it's going to drive healthier food for our kids here in California as well.
And what have food vendors and food manufacturers, what was their response to this law? And have they come out and said that school lunches are going to be more expensive because of these changes?
Well, they try every trick in the book. Companies oftentimes, when they're forced to change, they kick and scream. So absolutely, the food manufacturers came out in strong opposition to this bill. But in response, we had the schools on our side, and we had California agriculture, farmers on our side, because California is, of course, we grow some of the most healthy food in the country, and we want to just get that food into our kids' school lunches instead of, having them eat packaged, processed foods. So we had a lot of support on our side that ultimately won over the political arguments in Sacramento.
All right, big changes on the way for those school lunches. And of course, in California, every child, we have universal school lunch, so every child has access to lunch and breakfast at their school. So this is going to affect a lot of kids.
It's going to make them healthier and learn better, and it's going to set a trend, I think, all across the country. And for all the food we eat, we're going to become more aware and that's going to help us.
Okay, Bernadette Del Chiaro, Senior Vice President with the Environmental Working Group. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us about this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.